Welcome to today's presentation on conjecture. I'll go over conjecture in the legal sense and conjecture as speculative conversation. Let's take a look at it, but first the usual disclaimer. Nothing in this presentation is to be taken as legal advice. This presentation is simply a visual guide referring to the consequences of free expression when tied to speculation, accusation, falsehoods, and conjecture. Slander and/or libel, commonly known as defamation. The laws in the United States are constantly being updated as technology, culture, and society changes with the times. What is on the books today may be updated tomorrow. Do your own research. In a legal sense, the term conjecture refers to guesswork, meaning it is a supposition based on theory or opinion without substantial evidence. Conjectures are often based on the way a situation appears, rather than on solid proof. For instance, the media often makes conjectures about the state of celebrities' marriages based on rumor and photos submitted by unsubstantiated sources. To explore this concept, consider the following conjecture definition. 1. The expression of a theory or of an opinion based on speculation without substantial proof. 2. A conclusion reached by guesswork. What is conjecture? Conjecture is a theory based on evidence with only a slight degree of credibility. It is an idea of fact or potential cause or occurrence as suggested by another fact, which is too feeble to prove the idea. A conjecture is even less substantial than a hypothesis, which is generally based on well-accepted facts. For instance, it is well known that moisture evaporates into the atmosphere over time. A hypothesis could be made then that the water level in a man-made pond could become lower and lower, eventually causing problems for the fish in the pond. By contrast, a conjecture relies on facts that are likely to be true, based on other facts, though they may not be true. Someone engaging in conjecture may ask that a certain fact be considered true, based on related facts, for the purposes of making a point or coming to a decision. What is substantial evidence? In differentiating between conjecture and reasonable inference, the term substantial evidence is often used. Substantial evidence is enough to lead a reasonable person to a specific conclusion. The U.S. Supreme Court has defined substantial evidence as more than a mere scintilla, and such relevant evidence as a reasonable mind might accept as adequate to support a conclusion. Substantial evidence is not the same thing as any evidence. In order for evidence to be credible enough to support a verdict, it must provide adequate proof of each of the essential elements of the case. Still, inferences may be made, as long as they are the result of logic and sound reasoning, based on the available evidence. An inference based on conjecture cannot be used to make a legal determination. In the scientific field, substantial evidence results from controlled trials, investigations, and clinical studies carried out by qualified experts. Conjecture to hearsay. It's damaging to engage in conjecture and pass on hearsay without any details. It's best to share honest information and evidence. So much damage happens when people just pass on rumors or bits of stories that damage reputations and hurt people. Often, when there are no good avenues, patterns, or support for transparency and communication. This happens in organizations, and it's not positive. Hearsay in a legal forum is an out-of-court statement which is being offered in court for the truth of what was asserted. In most courts, hearsay evidence is inadmissible. The hearsay evidence rule, unless an exception to the hearsay rule applies. The hearsay rule does not exclude the evidence if it is an operative fact. Language of commercial offer and acceptance is also admissible over a hearsay exception because the statements have independent legal significance. Double hearsay is a hearsay statement that contains another hearsay statement itself. Each layer of hearsay must be found separately as admissible for the statement to be admitted in court. Note of importance: the exception outside of judicial hearings. Many jurisdictions that generally disallow hearsay evidence in courts permit the more widespread use of hearsay in non-judicial hearings. The next 3 slides provide current exceptions to the hearsay rule and the reason behind them. Resource and reference links are provided if you'd like additional information. Now that we have a better understanding of what conjecture is, I think it's important to remember this while participating within social media communities. So, keep your ears open, and it's all right to ask questions. Ask for the facts to distinguish against the opinions. The conjecture. Thank you for stopping in today, and I'll see you all in the next one.